It was always going to be a little bit crazy, wasn't it? Formula 2 at Baku always produces. Now, while the F1 race can be a bit of a dull affair on occasion, Formula 2 always delivers because these guys are a lot more inexperienced and therefore we see a lot more incidents, and we certainly saw that today. And the main thing is, before I get into the 5 things we learned from the Azerbaijan Baku Formula 2 weekend, the main thing is that everybody's okay. There was a really nasty crash in the feature race today. As I'm recording this now, it's just finishing the Formula 2 race. It's just been on a safety car finish, but I will just get into that very shortly. But yeah, let's get into the 5 things that we learned from this weekend. So we've had some driver changes, and now James has already done a video on the F1Chronicle.com going into the changes to the driver lineups this weekend, because there's been quite a few. I mean, obviously we've had Colapinto go into F1, we've had Behrman go into F1, and we've had some Formula 3 drivers fill those spots, plus a few more on top of that as well. And it was the battle of the debutants at the front in the sprint race, as 2 graduates from Formula 3, Gabriele Mini and Christian Mansell, battle it out for the lead in the early stages. Mansell was on reverse grid pole with Gabriele Mini in second place. But in the end, unfortunately, inexperience cost Mansell. The Aussie faded to P8 by the flag, still got a point on his debut though, which is great. Mini managed to hold on to a podium though, just ahead of Victor Martin at the line. An excellent result for the Italian in his debut Formula 2 race. Unfortunately, the second race did not quite go to plan. Again, I will get into that shortly. But yeah, we had one of the biggest surprise winners in Formula 2 history, in my opinion, as well, in that sprint race, because Joshua Dirksen, someone who, when I heard that he was going to race in Formula 2 this season, I thought that's a terrible idea. He's a pay driver, no doubt, but he's proved he's been very good this season. You know, he's up ahead of Ollie Behrman, albeit with Behrman doing less races in Formula 2 this season. He's still ahead of Ollie Behrman in the championship. And before this, he got 2 podiums. Now he's got his first win in the sport as well, the first ever Paraguayan to get a podium in the sport, but now also the first Paraguayan to ever win a race in the sport as well. So very, very impressive for him, and he had to work for it as well, pulling off some great overtakes throughout the sprint race. The third thing that we learned is that Isaac Hadjar, he was having a bad weekend. Now, he seemed to make a mistake in qualifying when both Camposes, him and his teammate Pepe Marti, ran wide at turn 1. It seemed like some sort of mistake when it came to the setup on the brakes. That essentially ended his qualifying session and meant that he qualified well down the grid for both the sprint and the feature race as a result, as he was well outside of the top 8. That opened the door for Gabriel Bortoleto. Now, if you want to hear more from Bortoleto, I did speak to him recently on 5 Minutes Web. It's a great interview. I really enjoyed having it. But yeah, Bortoleto got a P5 in the sprint race and then P4 in the feature race as well, to actually lead the championship. The guy's in the lead of the championship now after that, even with reduced points in the feature race. But why were the points reduced in the feature race? Well, the fourth thing that we learned is that Formula 2 cars are very safe, because we had a really, really nasty start line crash in the feature race that ended up throwing a red flag and delaying the whole thing for like a good half an hour or so. The race actually ran to time rather than going for a full distance of 30 laps or something like that, I think it is, for Baku. So yeah, because of that, we had a much later race, and it's literally just finished now. That's why it's taken so long to to get to this point. But yeah, thankfully everybody was okay. Pepe Marti, Kushmaini, Ollie Gerth, Villagomez and Koeman were all involved in that and were out of the race, all of them relatively far on the back of the field. Hadjar as well was close to it, but he managed to avoid it. But again, he had a really poor feature race, no points for him. But yeah, like I said, the final thing is that we had a time race, went to 30 minutes, slightly reduced points as a result. The drivers still had to do a pit stop though, that did not change. And Richard Verschoor has done an incredible job to win this feature race today. Now, he started on pole position, he got overtaken by Martin in the early stages, he was faster than him. Verschoor undercut him in the pit stops, got back ahead, but then we noticed that Verschoor had damage. He was crabbing on the straight. If you look at him down the straight, his wheels aren't quite in line with the direction that he's going. Now, that causes all kinds of problems in road car. Can you imagine what they do in a race car? But he was still managing to keep very good points. And I don't want to say he was bailed out by the safety car at the end, because I think he still would have won just about from Martin, although Martin was almost in DRS range by the time the safety car was thrown. Unfortunately, we had Mini, who went into the wall, was out of the race, and that caused the safety car. And the race has just finished now under safety car as a result. I mean, there was so much happening during this race as well, you know, things I've not even really gone into, such as Zane Maloney and Kimi Antonelli. They had contact as well late on in the feature race. Maloney was on for a podium, ended up finishing all the way at the back as a result. Kimi kept on going, of course, and I think he did end up on the podium in the end. So yeah, a really, really eventful Baku race. I've done my best to sum it up in 5 minutes. I've just missed out on that, just gone over, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. We're on to Qatar next for Formula 2, and stay here on the F1 Chronicle. I'll be doing a 5 things review of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix later today as well. But yeah, let us know your thoughts about the Baku weekend in Formula 2 in the comments below, and of course we'll see you very soon for some more F2 content here on the F1Chronicle.com.